Hello everyone, it is Kaiju Stuff here. Today we are going to be talking about the Godzilla franchise as a whole, including the monsterverse, Toho, and other stupid crap that I just would like to discuss with you guys. So let's just begin. Okay, so the first thing I would like to talk about is the new Godzilla design for the monsterverse. I'm not too sure what went wrong. Everyone's saying they love it. I don't know if it's because of hype or just like because they like the MonsterVerse and they just want to say they like it. But personally, I am not a huge fan of it or the MonsterVerse at all. Actually, the only MonsterVerse movies that I like is 2014, Kong Skull Island, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. Because Godzilla vs. Kong wasn't doing it for me. Mostly because of all that Hollow Earth bullcrap. And, basically, same with this movie. However, I do really like the idea of Scar King and all the Kongs just, like, having their own little civilization. You know, just being primates. But, I think they should did that on Skull Island. Maybe have, like, an underground kingdom, not an entire Hollow Earth. But that's just my opinion. And, yeah. So, about the Godzilla design. They could have made it better. They could have made it a lot better. Mostly because it's pink. And you might be saying, oh, well, why have you never talked about the Godzilla 2000 design? Well, number one, it's from 1999, so why would I talk about it if it's not really too relevant to, I guess, now, because it already happened over 20 years ago. Number two, they actually made it work by, not making it pink. Because if you realize, the Godzilla X Kong design is pink. It's not purple. Because purple, I think, looks really good on a Godzilla. Mostly because it just matches with black well. However, pink, especially very bright pink like how they used in the movie, does not. Plus, it's glowing, which does not help. In the Godzilla 2000 movie, it was more of just a shiny purple. It wasn't really like. It didn't have the aesthetic of like a transparent, crystallized pink. No, that's not how it looked. So I don't know if it's just because of hype or if it's just my opinion and I'm just one of those people. But yeah. I do think the peak Godzilla design of the MonsterVerse was 2021 in Godzilla X Kong. I mean Godzilla vs. Kong. The MonsterVerse has just been taking a wrong turn. And if I go on Netflix actually right now, I went on Netflix a couple days ago to watch a Godzilla movie, and the first thing that came up was Godzilla vs. Kong 2021. And I click on it, and the first thing that says is fantasy. That's not what it is. That is not what it is. It should, the first thing that comes up should be sci-fi, because really it's just a metaphor for nuclear destruction. That's what Godzilla is. Like, fantasy, I think of like Lord of the Rings, and I think that's what the MonsterVerse is starting to become. Some sort of like magical land, which I'm not too. I like some sort of realism, some sort of explanation. The Hollow Earth, really, there's no science behind it in the real world. At least in the Toho films, they try to do something with science-y or some sort of, like, science behind it. Like, Godzilla's radiation powers. They made that a nuclear bomb. I think that works because nuclear weapons do indeed make stuff mutated, just not for the better. With Godzilla, it was for the better for him. But for stuff like, say, Chernobyl, when Chernobyl exploded in the mid 80s, it absolutely destroyed the wildlife there. It turned the wildlife into like just appendages growing out of like their backs. It was very horrible. But in Godzilla's case, that's not what happened. He became a lot larger, a lot stronger, a lot better. So I think that is a plus to that sort of thing. So they did in the Toho films, even nowadays, because the whole reboot in Godzilla Minus One. By the way, I love that design. It looks like they put a modern take on a classic. But with the Toho films, I feel like they just try to put some science behind it. But in the monsterverse, that's not the case at all. It's really just like, oh yeah, let's make Hollow Earth. That'll go well. But I don't know. I find it very magical, and that's not good. I want it to be somewhat threatening, somewhat sciencey. I wanted to be somewhat realistic. Even the Showa era had more realism than this. Not with physics, but just with basic things and monster backstories and all that. And designs, just like, yeah. So the next thing I would like to talk about are the suits. I really, really like the idea of a man in a suit. So seeing them switch to CGI was interesting. Especially since Toho's doing it now. Because they were originally going to use practical effects in Shin Godzilla, but they didn't. Because I think of money reasons, but it could have been because of something else. Yeah. So since they did not use suits, that made me a little sad because I personally love the suits. They could, like, I like that they're suit actors and they could tell stories about what happened in the studio. I like the flimsiness of it. It makes it look real. Because with CGI, it just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't really look, like the skin doesn't look too convincing. If you look at like the most recent suit of Godzilla in 2004, Godzilla Final Wars, the suits went out with a bang. They really did. And the practical effects went with it too. I think that was a great goodbye, especially since it was his 50th anniversary. And next year will be his 70th, or this year. I'm not sure if last year he turned 69. Whatever. I've seen many posts of happy 69th birthday Godzilla, so I'm pretty sure it's next year he turns 70. But yeah, that's about it with that. Okay. Now, the thing I want to talk about most, and the reason why I made this video, is when will Legendary stop? Because I feel like every movie they have to add something completely random to the Godzilla universe. Like for example, in 2014 they had the Mutos, and personally I absolutely adore the Mutos, like to an unprecedented amount. I actually have an entire video of me playing as a Muto in Kaiju Universe. Just so I know, this video is not scripted, so I just thought that was a good segue into advertising. So if you like Kaiju Universe, I would check that out. I think it's very entertaining. Anyway, back to the monsterverse. I really like the Mutos. I like the idea of like a parasitic infection that the Mutos bring with them. I think they should have kept doing. They should have stayed with. They should have. God, you could tell this video is not scripted, but you. I feel like they should have stayed with what Godzilla laid down on for them. Like, because they're starting to add way too much new ideas. And they're really dropping the ball. Like, in my opinion, I think that the Mutos were the peak of the. You know what? That's not true. The peak of MonsterVerse was like 2019. Because they had King Ghidorah, they had Rodan, they had Dr. Serizawa, which was one of the best characters we've got from the MonsterVerse so far. And that was his last movie. We just have all the other characters from 2014 plus some new ones, and everyone got a really good redesign. I really do like the redesigns in that movie. I like the fact that Rodan is smaller than Godzilla. I like that King Ghidorah is massive. I really do like that movie. And it was the first movie that I saw in theaters. Godzilla movie that I saw in theaters. So that was a very important movie to me. In terms of just a Godzilla fan. But that was, I think, the peak of the monsterverse. And I think they should have just left it there. In a sense of, they should have made a Mecha King Ghidorah. They shouldn't have never made Godzilla vs. Kong. It's all because of money. Really, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. It's really all because of money. I do really, really like Mechagodzilla. Like, that end scene of Godzilla vs. Kong was the best part of the movie. If the other parts of the movie didn't happen and we just had a short of that end scene, I think I would be fine with that. Because that was the really good part of the movie, I think. Because of Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla really made that complete. Mostly because he's somewhat of a continuation of King Ghidorah. He's somewhat of like King Ghidorah, but like, just, I like the storyline that they made with King Ghidorah, but ever since Mechagodzilla got decapitated, I felt like that just left that entire story plot, everything. But then again, Godzilla X Kong did not come out yet, so maybe there might be something in that. If it's like a mural, maybe, you know what, who knows? I'm gonna start speculating. Maybe Scar King wants to continue what King Ghidorah couldn't. But I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just going insane. Yeah, I have a stuffy nose right now, so that's why I sound like crap, because I have a stuffy nose, but I'm not sick. So I just got over being sick, so that's probably what's happening. But yeah, so I think they should have just kept King Ghidorah somehow. If they should have made an entire movie based around Mechagodzilla. I think that would have been better than Scar King. And I do really like the Scar King design and the idea of him being a ruler of the Kongs. But I'm not a huge fan of the Hollow Earth or Kong's mecha hand. I don't know if I brought that up yet, but Kong has a mecha hand in that movie. I'm not a huge fan of that. Or Godzilla's design. So the majority of Godzilla X Kong I do not like. But there are two things that I do like. Scar King and the Civilization of Kongs. And I wish that the Civilization of Kongs was on Skull Island. Because Skull Island is like Kong. like that symbolizes King Kong. It's where it started, and hopefully that's where it'll end. Maybe in that movie it will end in Skull Island. Maybe like they'll go into the surface and reach Skull Island, and yeah. And also there's a storm there because of like this thing, like a bat thing. I don't really read the anything like at all, including just regular day like books. I don't really read much. So I know there's like a bat called something, and it does make a storm, mostly because I watched a Wikizilla on that. So yeah. Other than that, I do think that they should just after okay, they coulda did Godzilla versus Kong, but they should have left the Hollow Earth out of it. They really should have, because I don't think it really added much to that story plot in that movie anyway. But in this movie, they're growing on it, and I'm not a huge fan of it because it's a Hollow Earth, and that is insane to put it in words, like, in lack of a better term. Just absolutely insane and would never happen. I know I sound like a party pooper, but in the original movies, they always had an explanation. Even if it was the stupidest thing, they would have an explanation. Doesn't matter what, they'll just have an explanation. And with this movie, it's based off this one guy's theory from like 1973. I don't really care that he had a theory in 1973. I just want a normal Godzilla movie. Because they're taking it a little too far, in my opinion. I do think they are. Yeah. So I think after Godzilla King of the Monsters, they should have made Godzilla vs. Kong without the Hollow Earth stuff. Like the entire movie, just without that Hollow Earth thing. Then the next movie, they make Mechagodzilla 2, and he has like a jetpack thing reminiscent of the Mechagodzilla 2. And then they'll make another movie where there's another King Ghidorah, just like in the Heisei era. Because in the Heisei era, they were gonna make a movie with another King Ghidorah, but then they scrapped that idea. Yeah. So I think that's what they should did. And with that, I'm going to end the video before I start ranting about stuff that has nothing to do with the monsterverse and just me being stupid. So yeah, I'm just going to end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the content of this channel, because I think there's a wide variety of content. And in February, I would have a special announcement, so be prepared for that. In February, there will be a special announcement. So, yeah, with a whole new line of content, which I think is a little untouched in the Godzilla community. So, yeah, just be prepared for that. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.